The formula for the sum of an arithmetic sequence is given by this. Let's try and understand where this comes from. So an arithmetic sequence is when you add by a common amount each time. So here you can see we add 3, add 3, add 3. So you start out with your first term. In our case, it's 4 here, A. And then for the next term, you add the common difference. So you start out at A, and then you add that common difference. So in our case, D would be 3. So here, for the third term, 1, 2, 3. For the third term, it would be you starting at A, which is your first term, and then add twice the difference, 1, 2. That would give you your third term, and so on. So it follows this pattern here. So the trick to coming up with this formula is to rewrite this backwards. So consider the same thing, but write it backwards. So the last one would be the first one. You will see what I mean later. And then the next one would be 16. And then the next one would be 13. And then the next one would be 10. And then the next one would be 7. And then the next one would be 4. So the trick to coming up with this formula is to rewrite the whole thing backwards. So this is our sequence here, up to n. So rewrite this backwards. So the last term becomes the first one, and the first term becomes the last one. Now look what happens up here. When you add up these two, it would come to 23. When you add up these two, it will come to, oh, don't forget this is 16. It will come to 23. When you add up these two, it will become 23, and so on. All these are 23 in our example. Now, get this, add this. So this will be 2Sn equals, what's this plus this? Let me write it over here. A plus this thing here, A plus n minus 1d. So single number, merge these two together. Well, if you add these two together, it gives you 2a plus n minus 1d. Now, if you add up all of these, hang on, if you add up all of these, and so on, it comes to the same thing, just like up here. If you add these two, it will come to 23. If you add these two, it will come to 23. Let's look at the last one here. If you add up these two, AA will become 2A, and then plus n minus 1d. Just like up here, this becomes 23. This will become the same thing as up here. So add up all of these, just like what we've done here. It will give you this, but don't forget how many of them are there. Here is 23, and then you times by n lots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in this case, but in our case it would be n lots. So it would be this whole thing here, times n. Let me put it up here, times n, because there are n lots. Because look, up here, this becomes 23, 23, 23, 23, 23, and there are 6 in this case. In our case, there will be n lots. That's why we times it by n. So now remember, we want to get Sn on its own, because Sn represents a sum of all the elements. So to get Sn on its own, you divide it by 2. So that would be this whole thing divided by 2, like this. 2a plus n minus 1d. So that's where the formula comes from. Okay?